Hello and welcome into the SorareData Football Strategy Show. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined once again by Sean Newsham, PSU Fans 2, today to talk about some cat modes, of which I was just saying to Sean, boy, are we going to have quite a show as the two of us sweat a Sporting CP clean sheet. Sean's upside a bit higher than mine, but we both need it. And you were like, I can't believe you scheduled the show during the Sporting game. And I was telling you that I think the absolute worst thing about Sorare is having to sweat a clean sheet. And so I was happily avoiding it with this show.
Oh, I mean, it's terrible, but I would never have watched that game. Would not have. Actually, I had a chance that I would have watched that game because my all-star rare, super rare line. Did you see Quinny's tweet yesterday about Callum McGregor not getting a goal line clearance?
No.
You need to go watch. You need to pull that up and watch that while I talk here real quick because that's going to be part of this conversation. So, anyways, my all-star super rare lineup had like a decent score because I had a clean sheet from a goalie and then like a okay game by McGregor. And then I saw this Quinny tweet and I was like, holy shit, that's embarrassing. And you're going to say the same thing once you're done. But then I had Oshman yesterday and Oshman had a penalty kick and missed the net, sadly. And he had another big chance miss. But if he doesn't miss it, I would have had like a pretty if he didn't miss it and I got the McGregor goal line clearance, I'm on like 400 with Coates and Gonzalez still to play. And those are like the two guys that I'm fading. Yeah, so it would have been a very nice hedge where like if they smash their brains out, which they currently need, then I would have got there. So yeah, did you see? Yes, that is not a goal line clearance, Laird.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So we'll watch this real quick. This is not a goal line clearance for those that are wondering. So this is how bad the Scottish Premier League. That isn't a goal line clearance. Sure as shit looks like that's going into me, but I mean, like it goes off the guy in yellow, like it goes off him, and it was definitely going in the net. Like he kicks it, that's going in the net. Like,
is it possible that they didn't give it to him because his heart behind him? No, not really. No, he's in front. No. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, that's terrible. So I don't care as much because Oshman has a 20, and like you don't just get out of a 20. Yeah, it was. I saw this tweet by Quinny yesterday, and I was like, Jesus, that's terrible. Even for Opta, that's terrible. But we've seen.
I was just about to say for Opta, that's pretty bad too.
Yeah, so we've seen some bad shit before, but yeah, I was seeing that one. I was like, holy shit. But yeah. So, anyways, you have us on. This is just going to be dark when Sporting concede. But I never would. If it was like if I was on 400 and I had Coates and Gonzalez, I probably would have watched the game. But now, no shot I would have watched the game. But I'm going to have it up, and I need to fade a Gonzalez 100, which is definitely possible here. This is a really favorable matchup for him. And I like the role he's in this year, even though he hasn't been that productive in it thus far. But I like the role he's been in. So, anyways, I'm sure there'll be some darkness in this episode that everyone will be able to watch from me.
See, honestly, if it wasn't for you giving me an update during the show, I wouldn't even know. Like, I would be able to do this entire show and have no sweat at all because I'm just like,
oh, don't you, Laird?
No, I could have it up if I wanted to.
Oh,
I'm just choosing, like I said, sweating the. So Josh was asking if sweating a clean sheet is worse than buying a super rare goalie. I'm literally sweating a super rare goalie clean sheet.
I won't watch. Yeah, I don't sweat goalie clean sheets. If I try to avoid. I mean, you can't not look at it though. You can't not see it. But I'm not like I have watched Haber watch a game where the only player he has is his goalie.
Yeah,
that is insane. I literally called him a psychopath for that. Like if you watch a game with your goalie needing a clean, if you watch a game where your goalie is the only player in it, you're a lunatic.
Sean, would you rather watch a game where your goalie is the only guy in the game and you need the clean sheet, or would you rather go outside?
Go outside. Like I will go touch grass for a little bit. Well, I'm not watching a game with my goalie in it. I mean, all right. Let me ask this question: can I take a nap while the game is on? Can I just nap
outside?
No, inside while the game's on.
No.
Yeah.
You got to watch it like with your eyes like that.
No, watching your goalie, that's a hard pass.
Okay, fair enough.
Trabzonspor was up 3-0 in this game in the 71st minute. And they're up 2-0 and they're not losing. That was not a great look for Trabzonspor today.
Yikes.
But yes, I think Nanzo is the only one that can catch me. And I think there's 2 people that can catch me. The other guy needs like 100s from both Coates and a Don. And like I said, if a Don gets 100, I'll live with it, right? Like if a Don gets 100, I can take my second place while I move on to the podium. And then I'll come for Zarky Poo's butt in the Rare Pro month long.
I would happily take 100 from Coates. So yeah, sign me up for that as well.
The only way that person can catch me is if a Dawn also has like 90 plus, and if a Dawn has 90 plus, I'm content.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with both of them getting 100 personally, but I appreciate that you don't need that.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather Gonzalez get like not 100. Like I would take what I will take today is like a 95 from Gonzalez, a like 90 from Coates, and like a 90 from a Dawn. I think we can all get behind that.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to concede, so it doesn't even matter.
They're going to concede. It's there's 2 options though from a concession standpoint. Either it's gonna happen in the next like 10 minutes after the game starts, and like the first, like it'll happen like 2 minutes into the game, or it's gonna happen the 98th minute. Those are 2 options we're looking at.
Do you know how it's gonna happen? Because I do.
Some dumbass defensive play by someone.
Coates is gonna concede a penalty.
Oh, and then you have the sweat of the penalty that he makes a save. You're sitting pretty, and then yeah, definitely possible, Laird. I buy it.
Anyway, go Sporting, yay. So Malta said, I sweated the 10 minutes of added time for the Millwall clean sheet this weekend. Crazy. It's painful. That sounds just absolutely awful.
Crazy. I saw it. I was watching the 20 game yesterday because I had Understall and Proper. I would not have been watching it if I did not have Proper. And they just concede out of nowhere. Like Walwick hadn't touched the ball for like 30 minutes and they concede. And I'm just like, because I'd be on like, I would literally, no one could have caught me by like, I would have won by like 80 points for sure. And they concede at the death. And I'm just like,
yeah,
wasn't fun.
Yeah, it's the worst. Anyway, I want to talk about cap modes today because there have been a few different people, some of whom we each know, that are like, hey, I'd like to get into 240. I want to build like a rare 240 team. And we've done like that before. I don't really want to go through like specific players and all of that stuff of like, here's you should buy today, even though I think some people will absolutely ask us for players and what do you think of this guy and all that. But I think, so I was mentioning to someone that I wanted you to go into this with the ability to pretend like cap 240 is the best mode, meaning like that's where you get the best prizes. And obviously the way that they've done All-Star with the month-long competitions, All-Star will always be the best. But if they were like, hey, our next best prizes are in cap 240 and then cap 270, I don't even want to pretend like they'll make cap 220 realistic because it's just the prizes there are so bad. But what, for those who are either like in limited now and want to go to rare, or are in limited and rare and want to go to super rare, and it feels like the progression, like when you move up a level in terms of scarcity, is to go to cap 240 first. First off, do you agree with that? And second off, let's start with that. Do you think that focusing on cap 240 when you move up a scarcity level makes sense?
No.
And so what do you think you should focus on?
Everything else.
And why is that?
Because you had the cap 240s are just pretty shit.
Okay, so but you're saying like focus on everything else. People who are going from like limited to rares aren't going to buy like 80 rares to play everything. So like if cap 240 is not where you go first, where do you go first?
All-Star, rare.
Even though we've decided that's going to continue to be the most competitive because of the way that the monthly competition.
I disagree. I think cap mode is probably the most competitive.
Are you saying that because there are more lineups in it?
Here's the thing. If you go into All-Star and you are preparing for All-Star and you're working your way that way, you have lots of different paths you can go down. If you go down the 240 path, you have one specific path that you have to stay in that lane and you can't do anything differently. So by going down, like, they both suck. You're like, do you drive off a cliff or drive into a river? And it's like, all right, I'm going to drive into a river because at least in that situation, I'm not going to die and I can like swim out of it or something. So like you're just given 2 shit options and saying like, which one do you want to do? And I'm saying they're both pretty shit.
I mean, if that's the case, then why should anybody go from rare to super rare or limited to rare?
you just need to have a better game plan than that. I think maybe the best way to approach cat modes is to have excess cards. Would you agree?
Is to have excess cards?
Yeah, have a lot of cards.
Sure.
The best way to have a lot of cards is by working your way progressively towards that. By working towards a all-star. Again, like if you start with all-star, you can then have some players from Asia, some players from Europe, some players from America. You can do mixes. And then from there, you can branch out and you can build out your America. You can build out your Europe. You can build out your Asia. Whereas if you go to cap mode 240, you have to only have like guys that are not very good in the global sense. Whereas like you still, in order to actually compete in the cap modes, you have to have good cards. I'm convinced in order to compete there, you have to have good cards that are like coming back on zeros or like very underpriced in terms of like what their cost is, in terms of like what you can get. And you need to have guys that are actually higher end cards with them. But so the best way, in my opinion, to like branch out is by building out your all-star rare, because it gives you lots of different paths you can go down, whereas you're more restricted in cap 240.
I feel like that assumes a huge budget, and most people aren't going from one scarcity to another and saying like, oh, I have a $500 gallery in limited, I'm going to go to rare, let me spend $5,000. Like, I don't think that's a realistic progression point. And so I think really the question is, why wouldn't going into cap 240 be better than all-star if, as like Josh pointed out, people have been hammering all-star since the monthlies.
No.
Like, you're choosing to go into the hardest competition for the top end prizes.
So Ben and Rico Man brought up a point. And it's probably true, to be fair. I'm probably discrediting this. The threshold is the most important thing. You just don't give a shit about anything but the threshold. Like if you just go into cap 240 and you just pretend you're just trying to hit a threshold and that's the only thing you give a shit about, that's probably the best approach, I guess. It's so difficult to actually perform well. So I think maybe in that sense, Rico Man and Ben have persuaded me. And I now think that you should go into cap 240. It just is such people just don't understand the path that if you go down that, you still need a lot of cards. Like you just can't have 5 cards and just run them every week. Like you need to have like 10 to 15 cards and move them in.
Jerm was asking if 240 is the cliff or the river. I would assume that this is the cliff.
No, it's changed. Now cap 240 is the river and all-stars the cliff.
Yeah. So I guess the way that I was looking at it is I don't see a situation where all-star doesn't stay as the most competitive competition. Like the month-long, I feel like the month-long ensures that everyone who has good cards plays them in all-star as much as they can. And if that's the case, why would that be the region that you go to if you're moving up from rare to super rare?
Well, the thing is, cap 240, everyone has a cap at 240. So everyone is on an even playing field. Mm-hmm. So like that's the difference. Like it's not about the competitive. I think cap 240 is more competitive because people are trying to. You've seen the lineups that people are putting in the cap 240 modes. Like they're the best lineups people can run. Like that and all-star are the best competitions where people are putting like a lot of their best cards, I think. They're the most. Would you agree those two are the most competitive spots?
They certainly are in terms of number of lineups.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that I don't think that people who can compete to win all-star rare are then doing cap 240. I'll put it that way. Like I think in order to win a star, it's still going to be harder in Champion Europe, maybe even Challenger, than it is in cap 240.
I don't know. It's really difficult in cap 240 right now, I think. Well, so Narky Sharky asked, does it kind of depend on if you want to win cards or ETH? If you want to build your gallery and win cards, stack up on great value Challenger or second division teams. If you want ETH, play 240. Well, the thing is like you should never be playing anything but Asian or America. Maybe second division, but you should be playing Asian America, not Challenger. Definitely not Challenger. But the goal, in theory, is to win whatever the most valuable thing is. And like people have said, the rare threshold is currently worth more than most tier 4s and tier 5s.
Right.
I'd rather have a rare threshold than scrape a shitty card at the bottom end of a prize pool. Also, like, the thing is like, on a given week, the threshold doesn't change. To get the threshold, you need, what is it now, 280 points? Is that what the new ridiculous shit is? All
Yep.
right, so you need 280. So every single game week, you need 280. If you're trying to get a tier 5 or something, that number changes. Like, one week it might be 270, one week it might be 320, next week it might be 300. It's a constant move that you don't control at all. Whereas the threshold, you control 100%. You know exactly what it is. You know it's 280. You know your goal is to go, whoa, look at you switching camera angles. How did that happen, Laird?
Certainly not on purpose.
Interesting. So the goal is to get to the threshold, and that's what the goal is. Well, like, I think definitely what you're trying to do is you're trying to hit the threshold. So, like, I do think that makes sense from the perspective of putting it together.
So,
what do you think, Laird?
I didn't see a path where All-Star was the best place to go if you're moving scarcities. I mean, like, if you're moving up, if you're progressing, the threshold payments, like I said, yeah, are worth way more than the bottom tier cards that you're likely to, I was going to say that you're likely to win, that you are unlikely to win, but if you do kind of hit the nuts, then you can win it. And so, yeah, I'm struggling to see why 240 wouldn't always be the first one that you should go to if you're progressing up.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I said I've rescinded my original take on
that. Okay. And so if that's the case, what do you do? Meaning, you've been playing limiteds for a while and now you're like, all right, let me build a cap 240 team, or I've been playing rares for a while, let me build a super rare team. What are like the first considerations that you think of when you do that?
I mean, I think you just start buying not shitty players, but like, you're trying to get guys in like the 40 to 50 point range that play every game. For the number one most important thing is, we've talked about numerous times, it's play every game, right? Would you agree that's the number one most important thing?
That it's what?
That you play every game, you start every game.
Yeah.
Starting every game, number one most important thing. From there, you just want to have a plethora of people and options. Because the thing is like, I think that the answer to this is that you shouldn't be just working on a cap 240. You should also get to the point where you're doing a cap 240 and cap 220. Because cap 220, you can run a limited goalie. So the idea here is you should be buying players between like the 40 to 55 point range that start every game. Preferably volatile guys that are like fullbacks that maybe will smash some games because they have a good matchup. But that's if you really want to have a big advantage. Also, I think there's benefit from buying guys that are out that you know are going to come back, that are going to be playing, that are going to be worthwhile. So if you can get guys that have a 0 L15, like, that is a huge benefit. But you don't need to worry about that at the beginning, because eventually, in order to like realistically utilize that properly, you need to have like a 60 plus average player, which, to be fair, you can buy some 60 plus average players for not that expensive. There's like defenders that are relatively cheap that you can buy for that price. So I think Magnus said should buy Kai Havertz. Absolutely not. I mean, he just...
Did you sell yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you
think
did?
I had it sold by within 12 hours of winning it.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say you should be telling everyone to buy it, but congrats on your sale.
But so I think that the goal should be, you should be having like a cap 240. You should be buying guys between like the 40 to 55 point range that start every game. And you can sort of look at it and try to find more volatile options within that, and go from that way.
So I've got two points or two questions that I want to go down. But the first one, when do you buy the goalie? Because I think most people, obviously, I think the correct answer is like, you should have 2 goalies, but that really pushes your price immediately. So do you buy the goalie and then fit everyone else around it? Or do you buy your outfield players and be like, oh, I need a goalie now with an L15 of 45 or below? And granted, those guys usually are cheaper because they suck, but Is it better to start with the goalie or get your outfield players and then try to find a goalie that fits?
I mean, I think the answer is you start with two. It's going to be different than I think the answer is that you start with cap 220 and you work your way into cap 240. Because you can start buying the players and still run cap 220 until you can buy the goalie. So the answer, I guess, is that you buy the players and then the goalie.
So the only reason why I think 220 is not the right answer is because there's you have to be almost perfect to get something that even helps you move forward. That in 240, if you get your goalie right away, you can start making cash or ETH from your thresholds. And 220, you have to win so many cards for those cards to then turn into something you need.
Here's the thing, and you're probably going to bitch at me for this and say that my goal is just to spend more money, yada, yada, yada. Goalie's not even that expensive anymore. You can find a starting no doubt goalie for cheap as shit.
I'm not going to completely disagree with you.
Oh, wow. That's surprising. I figured you were like for sure going to absolutely disagree with me.
Like, they are definitely cheaper. I don't want to say that they're, well,
okay. I know
they are definitely cheaper to the point where you don't have to spend like $5,000 to build a 240 team. And so you have opportunities. Like I'm looking here, and MLS is a little tough because the end of the season, like Stephen Fry is $173.
Yeah,
Freeze 200.
Like I'm not even trying to be like mean here. Like if you can't buy a rare goalie right now, you probably shouldn't be moving up. Would you agree with that?
I think you're right.
Like I literally can find goalies for $150. Like
you just don't have much utility.
Like, yeah, obviously right now they're in American Asia, but so maybe what you do is you build with the plans that you're going to start this in the spring, and that's when you're starting cap 240 rare. And again, if you're playing cap 240, you should be buying American and Asian players. This is the point too with it, is like if you're playing those competitions, you're looking at like second division Europe and you're looking at Asian America. Like that's just where you're looking at. But I just pulled off the top of my head, like Matsumoto for Ray Sol in the J League is like 0.106, and he started the last like 30 games.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think you just don't need to spend them. Like, is he good? No, he sucks. His scores blow, but you're not trying to buy someone that's good.
So I was going to say that it feels late in the season for America and Asia.
Sure.
But you really don't need that many thresholds to hit in order to turn that into a European goalie. Like it's really not there. There are enough games left. And if you happen to go to like Liga MX or Argentina or Brazil instead of like MLS, there are guys, and they'll be a little more expensive, but like Franco Armani here, $295 floor. Like that's pretty cheap. And there's plenty of games left where you could potentially win a few thresholds and then use that base and Armani to turn it into a European goalie that you can keep playing. Like I agree with you that goalies really shouldn't be the bottleneck that they use, or they aren't the bottleneck that they used to be.
Correct. Yeah, I just don't think that it's as difficult as it used to be. Like I just think, and there's guys you can buy that are plenty safe enough. Obviously they're older. Like a lot of these guys are older, but like you can buy guys on this group that are plenty safe enough options for you to buy, right? So it's a very feasible path for people to go down. Like if you can't buy a rare keeper right now, you shouldn't be moving up. Someone asked, Rico Man says 5K is enough for Super 240. What's the cheapest Super goalie we could realistically get right now? I'm assuming it's like a half an ETH.
Let's see here.
Also, Magnus just brought up a good point. I think that this is actually a valid thought, Laird. He says, find an injury-prone goalie and buy the backup and hope for the best. So what I'm going to say about this is I actually think there is merit to like spending, let's say, 0.15 ETH on like backup goalies that are going to be for sure the backup. Like you have to buy the backup goalie.
Yeah.
But then as soon as one becomes a starter or gets a start, you have two options, right? Bigelow's not to play. Bigelow's still really expensive. Like,
No, wouldn't it be early season buying Wellenreuther?
Yeah. Buying Wellenreuther. But like, I'll give the example of someone like, how much was the backup for Milan's goalie?
Was that
Sportiello?
Chypre?
Yeah, so Sportiello. Like, let's see how much Sportiello was. And I'm just using an example because I just know it happened recently. Well, I guess he's difficult because he's difficult because you can only buy them in bundles. But he was 0.06, right? As soon as he started, because Mignon got injured, he was up to 0.2. At one point, he was up to 0.2. Huge return. So you have two options. Like you could buy like 5 backup level goalies that are going to be the backup, preferably younger guys that are not like ancient, where if they get some starts, they're going to be solid. And then from there, you can sit there, and if one of them gets a start, you can sell. Like if you can sell, like you could have sold Sportiello for 0.2, then effectively bought a goalie for free. Or what you do, like so Tasserano would have been a good example. Pepe Reina, like those type of guys would have been good examples in the past. Sporting is up 1-0 thus far, Laird. So anyways, you could buy those type of guys and then you can run them. So if you want, you can run them. Or you can sell them and then buy another goalie. I typically, if like it's a guy like Sportiello, I'd recommend buying him. But like, I don't even think you have to do this in Champion Europe. I think there's lots of better places to buy this and do something like this because it's going to happen. But like, there's definitely teams out there where you know who the backup goalie is and you can buy some backup goalies.
Bobby said, sadly, Courtois is not dropping to 350 in rare. Courtois is certainly not the one who's going to be dropping anytime soon.
So anyways, but like there's ways to do that you can like, and then while you're waiting, you can start buying positional players. Then all of a sudden, if a goalie gets a start, you can speed up the process and go. Josh Forth, how did doing that with Passphere go? How did you sell on that Passphere super rare?
Oof.
Poor Joshua.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. But like, I mean, that's a good example. Like you could go right now, and I'm not saying to go do this. This is not financial advice, but like, is Teton still the backup for 20?
Yes, I think
you could go buy Teton for 0.01 right now. If if Understall misses any games, all of a sudden you have a starting goalie for a little bit of time. And like, this is a guy that last year when Understall got hurt, he went up to like 0.05. You just 5x'd it, or maybe you get a couple games. You did get good gaming yield.
I'm glad you brought up Teton as I sit on his super rare here.
Yeah, but like even then, like you get one star from him, you can probably sell it for like $200. Because the thing is too is like, right, if you got a super rare of him, if he gets a start, you have a cheat code for 1 week in that someone might buy. Like someone might buy. Someone just brought up Sean Johnson. I think that's a really good option. Like you could probably go buy Sean Johnson for 0.125 right now. Like the guy's locked in goalie when he's back. Like he's going to be the starter. Scosma just said Craig Gordon's due to come back. He's old, but he's cheap. Last sale $76, 76 euros. So yeah, if you cannot afford.
You think I had the double leg break?
Yeah, I don't. It's goalies. I don't pay attention to him. But like he's old. Like just for clarity, I wouldn't go buy him. He's too old for me. Like I wouldn't do that. Like even if he comes back and starts, it's just not going to do anything. But
Keith saying don't buy anyone in Toronto.
Yeah, Toronto does suck. But anyways, what I'm trying to get at though is like if you can't buy a rare goalie at this point, it makes it difficult. And what was the cheapest super starting goalie we found that you could realistically
buy? Somebody said one sold the other day for like 0.5.
Yeah, so like you can buy if you could realistically get through in like for probably like $3,000 in Cat 240 super rare. Yeah. He's a good one too. Like who's not old, right? Like is he locked in? I have no idea. I don't pay attention to this shit.
It's a Premier League. I don't know who follows the Premier League.
Yeah, so he started. Yeah, so it looks like he's pretty locked in, right?
Looks it.
Yeah, so like Premier League goalie that's not old. He's not old, and he's 0.5. Like you probably can find cheaper than that, but I don't know where. But so like call it 0.5. If 0.5 is the floor, you could definitely get to a cap 240 super rare lineup for like let's say 2 ETH. Like you could definitely make it happen for like 2 ETH, which is like $3,000, and buy out some options.
Yeah, I don't think that's I don't think that number is
also, yeah, just to be clear about the no financial advice situation right now, we're just giving you guys names without looking at them and whether or not they're going to start long term or anything. So do not just go run out and buy these dudes and be like, oh shit, I bought this dude and he's not going to start. What did you do to me? We're just giving names. Like there's ways for you guys to find cheap goalies that like can get some starts that are pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think the process of finding the goalie to buy is significantly different than the process of buying the outfield player.
Yes.
Like you'll be able to find, there are plenty of outfield players that average scores all over the place that are either cheap or expensive. And goalie is one of those where I feel like obviously you'll find some that have L15s of 45 and basically score like 45 all the time.
Sure.
But I think just the process of finding the goalie may take just as long as finding all of the outfield players combined. You just need, as Josh Forth said, they just need to play. Like you just need someone who is going to play as long as they're fit, and then you can work your way from there. That's why I was curious where you thought like the goalie fit in, because I'll put it this way also, it's always easy to get a different outfield player. Like you can always turn an outfield player into another outfield player. And if you have a goalie, it's just not as easy to just be like, oh yeah, I'll just sell this guy and get another one. Because while goalies tend to be pretty liquid, you don't want to be moving in and out of goalies based off of L15 scores, whether they fit or not. Like that's the worst.
Yeah,
that's the worst place to find yourself.
Honestly, you'd rather have a pretty shitty, stable goalie that just sort of sucks. That like just will start and like you kind of want like a Langerack without the clean sheets. Like you want a guy that's just not really gonna have great AA, that's just gonna concede and get you like between like 35 and 40. Because you want it to be pretty stable, so you don't have to worry about the rest of your shit.
Right. Yeah. You can, like I said, it's much easier moving in and out of outfield players than it is goalies. Pablo said, how many points need for SR 240 now? It's still 280, just like rare. Do you think Bobby said, so for outfield players, how much is a lot for a cap 240? Because as most people, I play scrubs in there. I don't know what that means. Actually, just
I mean, you can buy guys that fit cap 240 for cheap. Like I am imagining you could buy like the full outfield set for like 0.15.
Probably.
Like maybe cheaper. I don't know. Like I don't want to give, like you said, we don't really want to go through names of people, but like I can't imagine how this would be like difficult to find guys that are playable pieces in the like 0.02 range. But there's no way there's not playable pieces for like 0.02, right?
Let's find out.
Like I'm just it's difficult because I'm
just going to use the pick scores and see. I mean, obviously, pick scores are very game week dependent, but at least gives you an idea of players and how much they are. Like, what is $154? So 150 for Iago Aspas, who's actually been smashing him. We were talking about it on the preview show. His L15 is like really trailing, but he's been excellent this season. But I feel like you could just go through this list and just find the cheapest ones.
Yeah, like there's
whoever this
like,
guy is, Ugo Bonet, I would guess his name is.
Yeah, he's how much? Like $15.
He is a striker. He is, not even 13.23 is his average.
I mean, I don't know why he didn't play. So like, you obviously got to do more research than what we're trying to do right now. But like,
yes, I can assure you,
there's options to go find guys that are like not very good. You need higher than that. Like you need the 40 to 50 range. Yeah. So Ramal said you can 4 outfielders for under 0.1 easily. Yeah. So like maybe you need a little bit. Like I bet you typically need to buy a little bit more options. So Kev Hurt said Kelly Roos is 0.26. You can go significantly cheaper than 0.26. That's the point with things. Also, though, like, and you're saying midweeks, and I do understand what you're saying with midweeks. The issue is that like, if you're just starting, you're most likely not going to have guys that get midweeks.
Yeah, getting 5 guys who play midweek as well. Like the
Yeah,
goal
like
is great, but it's nothing. It doesn't help you if you don't have any forwards who play midweek and
correct.
stuff
So
like
like
that.
maybe you can figure out a way to get midweek utility, and then someone like Kelly Roos becomes a bit more valid. Because obviously, if you can run out midweek stuff, it makes a bit more sense, right?
For sure.
Germ saying, and so a bunch of people have mentioned this, so I want to bring it up too. Germ said that the Hatafe stack is very cheap and will get the job done. Definitely does make sense from a collection bonus standpoint. Like if you can run a stack, or at least have like an idea of a stack that can work, it can really help, because the bigger your collection bonuses are, the bigger of an edge you get in those competitions as well.
That is, I did want to bring that up because I was curious what you thought about that in terms of instead of buying like a whole lot of players that come from different leagues and whatnot, literally just buying them all from the same team. You get your collection bonus. You theoretically always have 5 guys who are going to start. Is that a reasonably lower risk strategy, or do you actually consider that higher risk?
Having all guys on the same team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at least nice that at least when they play, right? Like,
Right.
so having them all in. Realistically, the idea here is that you're going to need to have more than 5 players. That's always going to be the realistic need. So having a stack is good. I'm not saying having a stack is not good, because it's definitely positive. And having guys that play the same weeks are better. But what you're eventually going to want to do is you're going to want to have like 10 to 15 guys that you can rotate, because like it's all going to be about rotation. Hitting it's going to be hard, especially if you got like some shittier players. Like it's going to be difficult. So you need to be able to rotate guys in. Hey, because like most likely the guys that you're buying, most of them are going to be on shittier teams. Like you're not buying guys on Bayern Munich, right? Like that's just not who you're buying. You're buying guys on like Burnley, and you're hoping Burnley plays Luton Town, and you can get a good amount of stuff out of that.
Yeah. So like, I wasn't even talking about, I mean, the stacking comes out of a collection, but what if, I mean, like buying 15 guys from the same team, like building a 15 player collection so that you have 5 guys every game week. And obviously they're going to have game weeks where, if it's some random Bundesliga team, like they're going to be up against Bayern one game week, and getting 280 from 5 guys may be really tough. But in that situation, like theoretically, you always have 5 starters. You just have to make sure you get them right.
So I think the key here is that if you know a team well, if you are very confident in a team and you're able to predict their 11 very consistently, whatever that team is, and you can do it, then I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Because like if you always know you're going to get 5 starts, like if you know you're going to get 5 starts and you're up at 240 and you're hitting the 240, anytime that it's a slightly favorable matchup, you should hit it.
Right.
So in theory, you should be fine.
Yeah. Jonathan was asking if Mathis Tell is an exception to the you have to start rule because he has 5 decisives in his last 6 games, all as a sub.
He's a guy on a dominant team that comes in and scores. Like that's nothing. There's nothing like to that. Like no. Like if I own Tell in my gallery right now, I would play him in 0 lineups every week.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but like that is the point. Like you cannot depend on that. Absolutely
not. Tell plays like 3 minutes, scores, puts up 64. He's scored in his last 5 games. He's put up literally 5 AA every single game, and he has 67, 30, 67, 66, 64, 64. That would be in none of my lineups ever. And I think that should be in. I don't think that would be in any of anyone's lineups ever. Like, what lineup would you ever make where you're putting him in the lineup?
Cap 220.
Just maybe to get XP for him in the long term. But no, he's not the exception. He's just a dude that's on a dominant team that comes in and has scored well. Because I'll tell you what, before that, he didn't really do that. It's hard to average a decisive a game when you play 5 minutes. Doesn't matter how good of a team you're on.
That's what I'm saying. Like in 3 of these 5 games where he had a decisive, he played less than 10 minutes.
Germ said a throwaway line. The thing is, Germ, is I don't think I would have a throwaway line that's that bad that would ever have him in it. I would probably have to be able to make like 75 lineups in a week to be able to like actually put him in.
I like this from Scosmo. If you can afford Tell, you don't have to worry about this conversation.
If you have Tell in your gallery, it doesn't matter. You're never playing Tell. If you have Tell in your gallery and you're actually putting him in lineups, you should not have Tell in your gallery. Very, very good point by Scosmo.
Let's see how many people played him. U23 if you don't have a forward. I don't think you should own Tell if you play U23.
Ooh, Laird,
he should not have been your forward.
I have a random side question for you to see if you know this. Did you know that they added you have to click a checkbox to say I acknowledge that this action will delete a lineup if you sell this card?
Yes.
Did you? Okay. When did that go in?
Like 4 months ago.
No. They actually added a checkbox. You have to click a checkbox.
Yeah, I think it's been around for a while.
No. It hasn't been around that long, Laird.
I think it has.
I mean, I don't know how long it's been around because I haven't done this, but I'm selling a card right now that's in a lineup.
Gotcha. So four rare cards of Tell were played in U23 rare in this current game week where he did score, and 2 rares in U23 rare pro, and in limited, how many do you think? 10, 20, 34 lineups with Tell. Yeah, that's my response.
Did you see mine and Chauny's argument yesterday? I think I pissed Chauny off this weekend.
Keith said that's been around for a while. Talking for someone who cancels a lot of lineups.
No, but like you actually have to. It's been around for a while. Where you actually have to check the box that says I'm okay deleting this lineup instead of just like because in the past it said if you do this you delete the lineup, but then you just accept on the offer and it deletes it. Whereas now you actually have to hit a checkbox. Well, I mean I don't do that often, so I guess that makes sense. All right, so did you see Chauny and I's argument yesterday?
So I did, and
I know you agree with me on it.
I thought the 2 players that you guys were arguing about were bad examples. Like it felt like they're too. So to provide everyone the background, it was basically came down to who would you rather, Frimpong or Grimaldo, and it felt like Chani was focusing on decisives and you were focusing on all around scores, and you'll always take all around. So
no. First of all, Chauny, I love you. Don't be mad at me. Second of all, he was not arguing decisives. He was arguing decisives from open play.
Well, doesn't that apply for both of them anyway?
What do you mean?
Like neither of them are getting set piece decisives anyway. So
Romaldo
is he taking penalties?
He takes sets.
2-0 Sporting. I didn't think he took sets really much at all.
He can take some sets. I mean, he definitely took a set the other day.
Okay.
So I had the game on, so I know he took a set somewhere at some point.
Yeah, I don't really consider.
He scored that nice free kick goal there. He scores and he takes like a good chunk of the corners.
No, Hoffman still takes more.
Most. Grimaldo takes a chunk. Grimaldo takes like a third and then some sets.
Okay. Either way.
Anyways, Chauny was arguing that Frimpong will score. Yeah, that's why I had it on. It was a very nice goal. It was a nice set piece goal. His argument was that Frimpong will get more decisives from open play. My argument was I don't give a shit.
Yeah, you don't care.
I want guys. The argument for me is always going to be I want the guy that will score the most SO5 points. Literally every time, every single time. And Chauny was not happy about it. I think my one comment upset him where I said I would have to check his brain. So Chauny, I don't apologize. I mean, I would say that to anyways, but I apologize that you were mad at me.
So
I tell that to everyone.
Right. So your expectation is that he'll always have some sort of set pieces, that Wirtz won't end up taking some.
No, my expectation is that Grimaldo's better in literally every single way than Frimpong.
So if you know what I'm saying, if Grimaldo lost set pieces, you still like him more than Frimpong.
Yeah.
Okay. So like the argument you guys were having, the whole like he was only looking at open play, like doesn't even matter.
Well, I know
even in that situation, you're taking Grimaldo.
I mean, the overall idea was that he said I would prefer to take Frimpong, and I said you're drunk. And then I was a little bit less nice and told him he was a moron effectively in not so many words. And I think he was upset with me. Johnny, I love you. Heart emoji. Heart.
So what are we talking? Why are we talking about it?
What's the best heart emoji? Yeah, it's probably this, right? Heart Chani. No, where Chani was like, I would prefer Frimpong, and I basically was like, are you out of your fucking mind? Which I think was a fair question. Would you agree?
I'm just wondering why we're talking. Like, what is there to talk about?
I forget the segue. That was like 10 minutes ago, and Sporting scored, so I got sidetracked, and I had to make a sale. There's lots has happened in the last 10 minutes there. I don't know what the sidetrack was. My sidetrack was that I love Chani.
Okay. Yeah. Are there any situations? This did remind me of something because one of our mutual friends brought this up to me. Other than Harry Kane, are there any players that you consider as reliable SO5 players that are decisive dependent? Like you play Harry Kane, despite us talking about how he just needs to score his 100 goals and assists, which it looks like he's going to get.
He could do it. So, all right, two questions. Fully decisive dependent, where like we are not expecting AA from them at all.
I mean,
and then also like, are we saying like as a D2 card, or are we saying as like a playable piece in a rare pro lineup?
We can talk about both.
Well, because I think it's a different. If you're gonna get me like 70, you're a playable piece in D2, right?
Ben Johnson brought up Bruno Petkovic. Like, would you play Petkovic? Would you ever play him in Rare Pro?
Would I ever play Petkovic in Rare Pro? Let me go see. I don't know him, so I'm not familiar with the stat line. No. Unless they're like a massive favorite, no. Like, I can't imagine I would ever play him in a Rare Pro lineup unless they were just a monster favorite.
And so, other than King, are there any players like that?
I have one name in mind.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I can give you the best.
I actually have one other name from Kane, and I don't know if it'll be the same, but I'm curious just where at some point are there players who just get enough decisives regularly that they become usable even if their AA is bad?
In super rare and unique divisions, yes. In rare pro divisions, no.
Okay.
I
mean, obviously means definitely not in rare or limited.
What?
And if you're hesitating and then saying no in rare pro, then the answer is obviously not in rare and limited.
Correct. There's one name I have in mind that I need to check, and then you can give me yours. So what? I mean, I think there's one name I have in mind, and I will see what you say, and then I will. And I'm not even sure on this one. No, yeah, I don't think I think there's one name I have in mind, and it's like flimsy, maybe two. I mean, Holland you could play in a rare pro when like City's like a 4-goal favorite. Like, I think you can do it.
Which happens a lot.
And you just have to hope he gets brace and doesn't have BCMs for days. There's one other name I have in mind. Who was the other name you had first?
Luke de Jong.
Yeah, de Jong's a good one. I think the other one I had in mind was Mario Icardi.
Okay. Let's see how he's been with these guys.
Yeah, I only care about his games with Gautas, right? And like, he's got some hundreds, he's got some pop in him. It's possible. I will say, so here's my sort of take with it, is that I only realistically am interested in doing it in stacks of some sort, or they're just such huge favorites. If a player is a huge favorite where they're like a 5-goal favorite, I will consider it. Like in like international play, for example, like there's gonna be times in international play where guys like this are such huge favorites. Like, not these guys specifically, but like guys like this. Blue Tomato said Petkovic scores seem better than Icardi's.
So you bring up, before we go to Pekovic. So Icardi, you were like, yeah, he's got 200s. Those are his only scores over 87.
Yeah, that's why I said, like, I'm not super interested in playing guys like this in like a rare pro lineup. In like, on like, okay, let me rephrase this question. Let me rephrase this again. I'm not that interested in playing guys like this in like a rare pro lineup on the weekend. Midweeks is different. Because midweeks, you might not need the scores you need otherwise. Saul is a good example.
Yeah.
He's a good example. I was talking to him with Gator Guy about him the other day. I was like, not a card I would want.
He brought it up.
Yeah.
So here's another one. He has one 100 other than Icardi's 2, and neither of them have a score in the 90s.
No. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
So you don't consider this a usable card?
It's a usable card, but it's not like a card I'm fist pumping. Like, it's a usable card. It's a usable card. They're usable cards. Like, they're usable cards. People are probably going to be like, oh my God, you guys are whales if you're not considering these guys. They're usable cards, but I'm not like fist. Like, I'd much rather play like Tadic type cards that are going to get me 25 AA and I just need to get one decisive than playing guys like this. A lot of the time.
I mean, Salah is outscoring Tadic lately. And the Tadic that we all used to know and love.
My point stands, but Tadic hasn't been the best, to be fair. He's been good. He's been good for Fenerbahce, but like, again, like, you just part of the thing with Tadic so far is like he hasn't quite got that second decisive. Right? Like, all those games are one decisive. If you get one more and you're pushing like 95 every single time. Whereas like Pekovic, Icardi, Holland, these guys are getting like 2 decisives and like 72.
Right.
Yeah. But so I'm not saying that these are like I think they're less usable in like All-Star Rare and All-Star Limited. I don't know if they can really cut it unless they rip hundreds. But like these guys, like, you're playing, like Holland in a game where they're a 5-goal favorite can hit 100. Like, it's not unreasonable. He gets a hat trick and has like 15 AA. Like, it's totally reasonable.
Not sure it is, actually. You know what his problem is, though, is that in the situations when he does have that AA, like where he should have 12 AA, he probably has like 3 big chances missed and he just kills it.
Well, the issue is his head. They give so many BCMs for like missed headers or something, and he's good in the air.
Right.
Which is the issue. Actually, here's a question I asked the other day, Laird.
Another one.
Over the L15, don't go look yet. L15 forwards, who is the best forward and what is their AA? Period. Like, total. L15.
Is it not Messi?
No.
Oh.
It wasn't Messi before this weekend.
Oh. Griezmann?
Nope. He's in this game on your screen.
Oh, Alvarez.
Nope.
Oh, I was going to say Alvarez has been absolutely incredible. Is it Doku?
Doku.
Yeah, but he hasn't played enough. Get out of here.
No, he has. It only counts. He has, and they had 4 subs, Laird, and he still had the best AA. His L15 with those subs had the best AA. Go to.
But it's only like 3 games with Man City, 5 games with Man City, right?
Does that matter?
Well, you're counting his. Of course, it matters.
He's gone to a better team where he's going to have better AA in theory.
I'm just saying you're literally including games where he had 20 and 30, almost 40 AA with Rennes. Like, he doesn't play for this
theory.
team.
He should have, in theory, long term, he'll be better at City than he was at Rennes. Well, it's not like his AA has been bad at Man City.
In theory, long term, he will. You were asking me.
It's not like his AA has been bad at Man City. Scroll down. Oh, you're telling me that AA sucks, Laird? That AA is better than what his average is.
Right. You were asking me like the best in the game, and this is like L15, and 5 of these games count. I wouldn't.
Okay, fine. So he's better than his L15. That is better than what his L15 is. Go to the player rankings page, Laird.
Yeah, I think that was a poor question.
I don't think it was a poor question.
Obviously, you asked it.
Yeah, so L15 AA forward. So like before the weekend, it was Doku was first, and it was like 19.6. You just told me the only games that matter are city games. His city games are better than his L15. So then
And he's not even first.
He was.
I'm
sorry, Roger gets a dumbass red card, so he can't retain first place, Laird.
It killed Alvarez too.
Magnet, is this actually true? Magnus says Holland has 22 BCMs in his L15. Oh, I thought he said L5. Never mind. 22 in his L15, I definitely buy it. For sure has that many in his L15. Like, no doubt. You don't even have to look. Like, there's no doubt he has 22 in his L15. That's what kills him, though, is like he just gets so many BCMs.
Yeah. I do love all the people who are like, but that means he's like, getting good chances. And it's like, yeah, well, he's going to, that's created. We don't want that. 17 in the last 15 in the Prem.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is true. Like, I mean, it is true. He just has constant amount of big chances. It's just like
9 in his last 5.
Yeah. Darwin Nunez, baby.
In 197 minutes for Darwin, 449 minutes for Haaland. And
yeah. Well, if there's one thing Darwin's known for, it's missing.
The guy loves a good chance missed. Kubasaki said he always knew Haaland was a fraud.
No, he's obviously great, but it's one of those things. If you're in constant good spots, you're going to miss some of them. You just can't convert everything at 100% clip. It doesn't matter what you do. But yeah, I'm definitely not. Those cards are usable, though. I mean, back to the point, like those cards are usable in Rare Pro lineups, but like the only way you are playing those cards is in a Rare Pro lineup is if they are monster favorites, I think.
Yeah, so I guess the real question was like, how many of those guys are there? And the answer realistically is like
5.
That might have been it. Like
I think it's like that, and then like Oshiman.
Well, Lewandowski, I think you have to put in there.
Lewandowski, yeah.
Let's just go by, or actually, we should probably do the decisive scores.
Yeah.
Haaland, it used to be Kane, but I guess it's still Kane.
It's still Kane, but I mean, I think he has more AA in his game too now. He can set up people as well, and people typically the guys wings are shooting.
So I know this is going to sound really dumb, as if I'm just like trying to say that Kane is not good. But the reason everyone loved him at Bayern with the goals and assists, like expecting so many, the AA comes from the fact that he's also getting shots on target and attempted assists.
No, it's not like it's more the attempted assist than anything else. Like those wingers like to chuck. And also, it's not even just that too. It's like he sets up people on the doorstep for a big chance, and it doesn't really matter if it goes in or not. So like, I don't think people also understand this too. Is like if you get a decisive, which Kane gets almost every game,
right?
The second decisive doesn't matter as much. If you get a BCC, that's like half a decisive anyways. Because it's literally 5 points. A BCC is like it's over 5 points. Big chance created is 2 plus 3 plus like final third pass. Like it's like 5.2 points. So like if the guy comes in and misses a big chance, like it doesn't matter as long as you already have a decisive. Like you get like half the points anyways for it. Actually, you kind of prefer if you don't have the other guy. Like I would much rather if I have Kane, I would much rather him get decisive and then just have a bunch of BCCs where everyone misses it over and over again. And everyone else,
you don't have those guys to.
Yeah, if I don't have those guys, although I did buy a Sane super rare. You see that?
Yeah, like just looking at the top, like the AA, and obviously like Kane's includes his time at Bayern, but even though the last 5, like his AA is 8.6, Haaland is 0.9.
Yeah, it's quite bad. No, I don't think it's Kai Havertz bad, but it's pretty bad.
Messi's at 0.6, but he only played 1 game and he played
that doesn't even
12
count.
minutes.
Yeah. Like it's not like Haaland's much above 0.9 after if you go into L15 or L40.
Right.
Yeah. Blue Tomato said Sane looks so much better since Kane arrived. That is why I bought him. Also, the whole like playing in games thing has been helpful for him.
Yeah, playing definitely is better than not playing. I'll give you that one for
Yeah,
sure.
but like I figured that was a decent ad considering I have Kimmich and Harry Kane, and I don't have a super rare. So I was like, yeah, it feels like a decent card to have in certain situations. I still need a good defender super rare. I need to figure out who I should buy. Maybe I'll go take my own advice and buy Grimaldo.
There you go. Yeah, and just like if you notice how few of these guys, and again, this is just all forwards listed by their decisive L40, but how few have close to double digit AA. Salah is close though at 9.3.
Yeah,
But like Mbappe, Messi, Malcolm, and then you just keep scrolling. Cucho's A is crazy with like literally 0 set pieces.
Yeah, I mean he's been really good. Their style is just really favorable. Like, I mean, he's been really good. Cucho's been really good. I like Cucho a lot right now. Actually, here I will admit being wrong about something.
Whoa.
To Gator Guy, actually, since he was here too, but Gator Guy was like just all about Cucho last year. He's just like, Cucho's the greatest. He's gonna destroy the MLS. He's gonna put up shit. And I just looked at him and just like, I just do not see where you're gonna get the AA from. He's like mediocre as shit. And I was incorrect. Cucho's been very good from an AA standpoint. But Keith was too big of a loser to go and buy one anyway, so it didn't matter.
I thought he had one.
I don't think so. If he did, he bought one late. But it was about, I'm like, what? Another part of the thing was he's like, I'm going to go buy a Cucho rare. I'm like, why the hell are you buying a rare? Buy a super rare. If you actually think he's going to be that good, buy his super rare. The rare just is not impactful to you.
Yeah, just go buy his super rares. I mean, looks like he bought one in October.
It wasn't that much. Like, he's still not that much.
Yeah, like, he bought one in October last year.
What do you think Cucho super rare is right now?
I don't know. I sold his rare a while
ago.
What
am I admitting, Keith? It looks like you look at that green dot is actually a good green dot for you for a change.
For once, yeah. Except the green dots that came after I sold it are all here.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, so like I mean, Football Coops paid 1.5 a week ago. Before that, he was going like you could have bought a Cucho super for like 1 ETH a month ago.
Someone did. Arby.
I think I was in that auction. Check that auction. I'm assuming that I will have had a bid in there at some point.
Well, you were like first bid on everything, but no, yeah, that's all. You bid $58. You weren't willing to go above $58.
Yeah, that was my limit. My limit got surpassed pretty easy.
Yeah.
Keith has had a Cucho all season apparently. I'm gonna doubt that.
He bought it last October.
Did he?
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, this one right here, October 26th, 2022.
Yeah, see, Keith should have bought the super exactly.
Want some nice rewards?
Even when I'm wrong, Keith, I'm still right. You know, that's just how it comes back, circle of life, right? Even when I was wrong, I still was right. So go buy the super. See, again, guys, spend more money. The motto of the story.
Right. If you're on a limited budget and you need to play Cap 240, just spend more money and play everything else.
Just go get it. I think Scosmo asked questions about Unique earlier, but I don't remember what he asked. Scosmo, what was the question you had about the Unique threshold with Cap 280 or Cap 2, whatever it is anymore? Stuff changed. Like, what is this, like the 5th iteration of stuff that we've had now?
It's a lot.
Blue Tomatoes asked, most likely hard to say after 1 game week, but is it harder or easier to hit threshold after the update? It should be easier. Like, it should be like in the vacuum the same, but it should be easier because if you actually get correct the captain choice, which in theory you should be better at choosing that, it's easier.
Yep.
So it should be easier, but if you suck at choosing captains, then it's going to be harder. On the topic of cap, thoughts on the collection bonus being one of the driving factors to increase the threshold score required to 80 without acknowledging the difficulty to build in super and uniques. That might have been part of their whole thought process, is that it's harder for you to build collection scores and overall bonus XP in the unique and super rare areas. Like, because they want you to hit those less often than they do the rares and the limiteds.
Maybe.
It's true. I mean, it's more difficult to hit those.
For sure.
Because you're going to have like 5 to 10 points less on average because of the bonuses?
Yes, but I think most people are still not really taking advantage of collection bonuses, even in rare. Like they're playing cap 240 teams, and that maybe they have a 1% collection bonus on each card,
Yeah.
which you can get a lot on super. Like 1 of 10 super rares are not that hard to get. And like that immediately has a 1% on it.
Wow. Laird just calling me out for not working my collection bonuses up.
Oh, I don't do it. Like I don't play like guys in cap 240 just because they have like a high collection bonus. I don't think we're taking advantage of that enough.
Yeah.
But because I don't think enough people are like I think a lot of people are, if you're building a collection, it doesn't end up being so that you can play those cards in cap 240.
Yeah.
Like some of it helps, absolutely. But that's why I was saying using a collection in 240 is a reasonable strategy if you're like moving up to it.
I mean, I am the top collector in many collections, Laird. Did you know
that? No.
I am the #1 Consadole Sapporo unique collector.
I mean,
I'm the #1 Yokohama Marinos collector in uniques for 3 separate seasons, Laird.
What is I'm actually looking now. So the highest you have is 3% from a collection.
I've never done it. Well, you're looking that up. So Ali asked, do you guys trust Galatasaray stack? I mean, I'm fine with the Galatasaray stack. I literally won a division with it. I think I'm the only person with the Galatasaray stack that has won a division with the Galatasaray stack thus far. But I think they're playing a lot of games in the upcoming like month. They play a lot of games. So like there's going to be random rotation where guys don't start. So it definitely is going to be tricky. No, Blue Tomatoes have asked, have they offered me tickets to any of these games yet? No, I have not gotten offered any tickets. And I am like the top collector in many different teams. And I'm like ganked. I'm like the top collector in like 5 different spots. And nobody's offered me tickets. Sad.
You're like fake top collector.
No, Laird, you're just being disrespectful to super rare and uniques. Is what's happening right now. Actually, I'm not. I'm the 2nd biggest collector in the 2021-22 gank, 3rd biggest collector in the 2020 and 21 gank.
Here you go. So so your first tier with 3 cards, your first AC Milan with 4. So you didn't even talk about AC Milan, and that's the one you have most cards with.
Where is my private jet ride with AC Milan? I don't know. I'm waiting.
Here's your super rare Columbus Crew collection. Who do you have?
Yeah, like look at this
Mensa, Artur, and Zardes.
What is the Mensa? Is Mensa like a jerseyman or something?
I don't know, but that's phenomenal. That's the he's a 1 of 10.
I did the #1 Columbus Crew person. Like Blue Tomatoes asked, would you attend a Sapporo match? I would attend a boatload of matches if situations presented themselves for me to do so. And I think you would agree with that. Like, you know me well enough that if like it was a situation where I could make something happen to go to games, I go to games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I like going to games.
Yeah, I'm sure if they would fly you to Japan, you would do it.
Yeah, like if I got flown to Japan to go to games, I would do it. Or if I was going to Japan and I was going to be there, I would have it. Jonathan asked how much did that blend cost? Probably a sad amount, but not a sad amount as the super rare that I purchased of blend. And Scosmo said, seems counterproductive to the mantra of encouraging progression and incentivizing moving up. Well, Scosmo, they haven't incentivized either of those things in the entirety of us being on the platform, at least up to the super rare and unique levels. So that's not shocking. No, yeah, but Jonathan, one of the things I like to do when I leave the house is go to sporting events. That is like there's like 3 things I like to do when leaving the house. Laird, can you guess all 3 of them?
Going to a sporting event, getting something to eat. I don't want to count you just opening the door to let your dogs out, but that's what I'm going to say.
I'm not going to count it. There's a legit 3rd that I really enjoy doing. You might not know it because I really don't do it anymore because I don't have time. But there's one other thing that I really enjoy doing a lot that is outside the house.
I got nothing.
My wife would get this, Laird.
I got nothing.
My wife would get this. She would know.
I literally can't think of a 3rd thing.
What do I like to do?
You like to stay home. That's the whole point.
Yeah, so like when I'm staying home, though, what are some things that I enjoy, Laird?
Watching the sports that you would watch in person.
Okay. What's another thing that I do?
Play Sorare.
Yeah.
Zarchi's wrong about this. It's definitely not.
Yeah. I don't think she would guess that one. She wouldn't guess that one. I'm confident in that one. My wife is now asking. Let me see. I'll yell at her 1 second.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it's going to come out. And
She guessed it. She said going to movies. I really enjoy going to the movies.
Yeah, I don't think I would have guessed that.
Ever. No, I don't think that you probably knew that about me.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I love going to the movies. Going to the movies. So going to the movies for me is like the one time where I can just like not look at my phone at all, and I just sit there and watch the movie and enjoy it.
Yeah, so I totally get that. I don't ever go to the movies myself, but you're just you're just sitting and watching TV somewhere else.
Exactly. That's why I'm trying to get you to guess. That's why Blue Tomato said you watched Barbie. I will probably watch it at some point, but I did not see. Glenn asked top 3 films. So I don't want to do something like that because there's so many different genres and it really just depends what you're interested in at the time, right? Like it depends what your mood is. And if you catch the movie on the right day at the right time and it's like exactly what you wanted to watch, that nothing feels better.
Okay, last question and then we're done here. What do you eat during a movie at the movie theaters?
Well, sometimes that changes, surprisingly. I like, sometimes it's nothing. Like sometimes it's nothing.
Wow.
Sometimes it is popcorn and a cherry Coke. You probably could have guessed the drink. You've seen me. And then the other thing is sometimes nachos and a cherry Coke. Although sometimes when you're in bigger cities and like they have those like really nice recliner seat movie theaters, sometimes I will eat lunch there.
It's funny you say that.
Kev said was going to guess the movies, leaving the house to stay indoors elsewhere. Facts. Yeah. Cherry Coke is the only. So like I only pretty much drink 2 beverages, and that is cherry Coke and water. Those are like the only 2 things I drink. Like I will also drink orange juice occasionally, and I will also drink like Gatorade or some sort of drink like that occasionally. But like on a day-to-day basis, like you could go a month and I will only have drank water or cherry Coke. Jonathan asked about ice cream. I don't really do ice cream at the movies.
That's what I was going to say. I don't find many things more uncomfortable is not the right word, but I cannot stand trying to eat in like a recliner. Like the idea of, I am like all out on that.
So when I was younger, Laird, I used to do like triple features. I would legit go to the theater for 8 hours and time stuff that I would literally watch 3 different movies at the theater. Yeah. Back in my younger years. Yeah. Nowadays, I don't have time for that. I'm lucky if I get to the movies like once every 3 months. Like it's just not feasible anymore. But yeah, the movies it's like the only relaxing spot for me in life.
I literally cannot think of the last movie I saw in the theater.
Yeah, but like, so here's the thing: you're old, and my dad doesn't like movies either. So like, you and my dad are pretty similar.
It actually has nothing to do with not liking them. It's just never anywhere close to my list of like, hey, what should we do today? And I'm like, let's go see a movie.
It's literally, here's a pet peeve of mine. And you're going to definitely be like, yeah, I can see that. And you actually know this from sporting events. I hate, and this is a hashtag fat guy problem. I hate sitting next to someone. I want a seat in between me and someone else at all times. My wife hates it because we go to the movie and I'm like, she sits next to me. I'm like the middle, and it's perfect because then if we get popcorn, the popcorn goes in the middle seat and we both easily have access to the popcorn.
I was going to say, do you make her sit so that you can go right hand into the popcorn instead of left hand? Because I think you're right-handed, right?
I am, but I don't care about that. But I sit on the aisle because I go pee a lot.
Well, that's how I was going to say, but the aisle usually,
But I go pee a lot. You know that. I pee a lot.
Like in the middle of a movie, you'll go?
I can't help it. I pee so much. When I was
Don't drink
young,
so much damn cherry Coke during the
no,
movie,
no,
man.
I drink a
Easy
lot of water.
solution
Like
here.
I chug water, so like I pee a shitload. But like when I was younger, it's actually when I was young, I went to Florida once, and I don't think I got out of the car. Like for the entire drive to Florida, which was like 20 hours, I don't think I left the car. Nowadays, like I can't go like more than an hour and a half without peeing.
Right.
That's good. See, like sporting events, like I despise sitting next to people. I want to have an empty seat at all times, and it pisses me off if there are plenty of seats and someone sits directly next to me.
Germ apparently is on Team Diaper for.
No, see, Germ, I just can't do it. What I am a big like, you should not ever be on your cell phone in a theater.
I get that.
Like, you should not be on a cell phone in a theater, but I can't help. I typically, because I like watching movies so much, and I've been such a movie person my whole life, I have pretty good ideas of like when a good time in the movie is to go to the bathroom, and I try to time my bathrooms during those. And then you see me like speed walk to the bathroom because
Yeah, you want to get back. Yeah, I get it.
yeah. But like, yes, sporting events, like, well, also to be fair, like no one wants to sit next to me either at a sporting event. Like you do not want to sit squished in next to me at a sporting event. Like same way as I don't want to be sitting next to you at a sporting event. Like I need to have room to breathe, you know?
Yeah. You like like a good sporting event that doesn't have many people there.
I have gone to plenty of sporting events with you that have not had many people there. Like we were at the All-Star game in DC this year. And it was like 150 degrees. Were you sitting next to me? No. Who sat next to me at the
I was on the aisle.
No, I sat next to you for the actual All-Star game.
I sat on the aisle for the All-Star game. You might have sat next to Larry.
I sat next to Larry. Yeah, well, which that makes sense because Larry's like,
that's easy. Yeah, you may as well have nobody next to you.
Who did I sit next to in the skills competition? Did I sit next to you in the skills comp?
No, you sat on the end, didn't you?
Yeah, definitely, of course.
Yeah.
But who did I sit next to?
Who did you battle with in order to not convince that guy to sign up to Sorare?
Yeah, but who did I sit by? Was it Keith or Alex, or I don't remember who I sat next to.
It was probably Alex, yeah.
Yeah, but like
whatever it was, neither of them stopped you from saying, "Hey, do you love crypto?" and just fully.
But anyway, like, I sat on the aisle, and then the next person was like looking at the seat next to me. I'm like, no, move down. Yeah, Zarky, where did I sit at the All-Star game?
Oh, on the aisle.
Zarky will tell you where I sat at the All-Star game. Sat on the aisle. Zarky was in the middle, or Alex was in the middle, one of the two. I think it was Zarky was in the middle though. But Zarky's smaller than Alex, so him being in the middle makes the most sense. Here's a question for you, Laird. Well, actually, you don't go you don't fly with your family, do you?
Not recently, no.
Okay, because I was gonna say, do you ever fly with your wife?
Yes.
How tall is your wife?
5'4".
Okay, so how do you guys sit on a plane if you're flying in a 3-seat thing?
The last time we flew, it was aisle middle, but I think we would just do aisle next time.
Yeah. Okay. So, but when it was aisle middle, how did you sit?
Oh, I sat on the aisle.
Yeah. So we used to have, my wife's like, well, what are we going to rotate this? I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to sit the aisle every time. But I've told her this is how it goes. So I said, I'm like, when I'm buying the tickets, I'm like, I'm perfectly fine sitting aisle. So like, I'm perfectly fine with me on the aisle, her on the other aisle. Honestly, it makes the most sense because you can look over and not talk over someone and not be jammed and talk to someone. But
so we have like completely fallen off the rails here. I think aisle makes sense because I just don't feel like two people having a conversation on an airplane for however long you're on it is even reasonable. It's rude and nobody wants to hear it. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Well, also I have a specific, my wife just texted me about her mentions on the show today. So anyway, I had to teach her. What? I had to teach her airplane etiquette for Southwest Airlines before, and I also have taught you this etiquette. And what did this situation result in when we flew? So for those that are unaware, since we have a lot of European listeners here that probably haven't flown Southwest. Southwest Airlines is pick your own seat. So you select where you want to sit. The keys there's like 3 keys. Key number 1, find out how full the flight is. If the flight's going to be jam-packed, then you're just kind of screwed anyways. It doesn't matter. If they're like, oh, it's like 80% full, what you do is you go to the back of the plane, like 5 rows up from the bathroom, you sit on an aisle, and you leave a middle seat open, and then you do not make eye contact with anybody coming down the row, because most likely no one's going to ask you to move. They'll just pick another seat. Also, if you are a large individual like myself, you just sit there and look as large as possible and make like look like be like, oh my God, this is going to be so, and just hope that people don't sit there. I went.
This is such a great line from Germ. Southwest Airlines, like the mystery jersey drop on.
So I once went to LA, Laird. It was like a 6-hour flight, but we booked the tickets like 2 days in advance. It was like last minute. And I had to sit middle. And I was just like, this is going to be so terrible. And I start walking down the row, and I see the row I'm in. And I was the smallest guy in the 3-person row. And I had the middle seat. And we all just made eye contact. And we're all just like, oh, man, this is awful. Worst 6-hour flight of my life.
Oof.
But yeah, there's definite etiquettes that another one, my wife and I actually got into a fight once, one of our first fights. Definitely she was being ridiculous. She'll agree nowadays about it. But so as we talked about previously on the show, I pee a lot. So when they start calling people to go on the plane, like, I don't want to go sit on the plane. Like, why would I want to go sit on the plane and be jammed in like a sardine? So I go to the bathroom right before I get on the plane. So like if I'm like in like group 5, when they call group 1, I go to the bathroom. So we were on our way back from like a wedding somewhere. This was like early in our relationship, like 1 to 2 years into our relationship or something. And they start calling. My wife has like some anxiety, especially in that type of situation. And I'm like, I'm going to go pee. And she's like, what? How are you? No, you're going to miss the flight. I'm like, I'm going to go pee, because otherwise I'm going to have to go pee as soon as I'm going to pee my pants as the flight takes off. So she was like eating beef jerky, and she gets up and just throws it down and storms off. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to still go pee, because I have to go pee. And then I come back, and she's like nowhere to be found. She like went and hid around a corner. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, well, we almost missed the flight now because we're literally the last people on it. She's like, well, you had to go pee. I'm like, I have to go pee. But nowadays she's like, she sits there and she knows when I'm going to go pee. And she just tries to go pee right before I go pee. And then I go to the bathroom.
It's not where I thought this was ending up today.
Yeah. Good talk. Good talk.
Yeah.
Some people I'm sure are going to hate it, but other people are going to like it. That's all that matters.
I am going to reply with Johanneton. I will say that if I fly alone, if it's a longer flight, I will sit by the window.
So for me, no, I prefer
there's never, I can't imagine there's ever a situation where you want the that you want the window other than like first class.
Yeah, if I'm first class, I don't really care. Or like business, if there's like 2, I don't really care. But so the reason is because I also like my knee bothers me. So like my left knee bothers me. So I always try to sit right side aisle so that I can put my leg into the aisle.
Yeah. Yeah, I get
it. Blue Tomatoes just said that was Sorare Andrews with Sean.
Yeah. And Quinny shows up here at the death.
Pretty accurate.
Thank you to everybody for joining. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to Quinny, who is here. All of that is very appreciated. We got a little bit of a schedule adjustment this week, but most importantly, Thursday, for anyone who is interested in NBA and MLB, I am having a discussion with Kate Schrumpf, who is the director of product, who oversees NBA and MLB. And we've got a bunch of questions that people have asked on Twitter. So thank you, everybody who has sent those in. And I have a bunch of questions that I want to ask. And it sounds like we should be getting some sort of update this week. So there's that. Should be good. But anyway, thank you, everybody, for joining. And we'll see you around.